Thomas's ruling on voter rights, would you have appealed it to the Supreme Court?
No, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. I mean, that decision literally laid out a factual pattern that hasn't been rebutted, which is that rollback really does have a disparate impact or a direct impact on African Americans and low-income folks. I think the image of the Attorney General, let me take a step back. The Attorney General showed up to Toledo, Ohio, on Monday at about 10:20 a.m. after that water crisis to look for the gougers. The crisis ended at about 10, I think the timing was. He couldn't bother to show up the weekend while it was happening, the water crisis, to find the gougers. He couldn't get people to go there on the weekend and actually do the job. But he shows up after it's over and says, looks for the people gouging the water prices. Of course, they're not gouging anymore. The water's back on. But on the weekend before early vote, he's determined and working as hard as he can to stop it from starting on Tuesday. So I think the image of our Attorney General doing everything in his power to stop early vote is one that frankly is somewhat appalling. Here's what I would say about this is the bigger question though than just this case. This state has been found to have violated the constitutional rights of our citizens 5 times in the last 3 years. This case gets to the Supreme Court and was obviously, we don't know the ultimate outcome, but they did the stay. But other cases haven't even been close calls. They violated libertarians' rights to the ballot because the legislature thought they could actually require 30,000 signatures for third parties when someone like me just needs 1,000. Mike DeWine should have stood up and told the legislature, as the lawyer for the state, hey, that's unconstitutional. We're going to get sued and we're going to lose. He didn't say that. He went to court. He lost at every level. Their 2012 early vote rollback clearly violated the Constitution because it was set up in a way that some people in the final weekend couldn't vote and others could vote early. As someone who teaches election law, I can tell you my students would know after 1 month that that's unconstitutional. Mike DeWine never once said to them, guys, I'm your lawyer, that's unconstitutional, we're going to get sued, we're going to lose. He went to court and defended that, lost at every level. He lost another one at 14, he lost the one about right church, wrong pew. My point is, the Attorney General is not just there to defend the politicians when they violate the Constitution. I will defend many, many laws as Attorney General that I do not agree with. That's part of the job. But when the politicians have done something that violates the Constitution, you also, the first thing you do as Attorney General is take an oath to that Constitution. Meaning you take an oath to uphold the rights of the citizens. And if you believe, not from your personal political view, but if you believe that the politicians have taken a step that clearly violates voting or constitutional rights, whatever type, you actually, and if you advise the legislature, which you should in advance of them passing law, you're about to violate the law, guys. When they do so, you can give them counsel to answer your question. You could provide a lawyer, but if you believe that they're violating constitutional rights, you actually have a duty to say so. That's part of the check and balance of being Attorney General. You don't only represent the politicians, you also represent the people and their constitutional rights. So the cases like this, and the current Attorney General's track record on election law and voting rights cases is abysmal. Loss after loss after loss, and who knows how this final one's going to turn out. But before that, he's lost almost every major case, wasting time and money. I think if you actually had an Attorney General who actually, whatever party the other people are in, would say to them, I'm your lawyer, I know election law, when you require that libertarians have 30,000 signatures, you're violating their constitutional rights. Let me advise you how not to violate the Constitution before you pass this crazy law. I'll defend you if you take my advice, but if you violate the Constitution, I won't defend you. If you had a lawyer who operated that way, you'd actually avoid all these losses in the first place. Imagine if your newspaper chain got 5 major libel cases in the last 3 years and you lost every one. You'd start questioning who your lawyer was, right? You keep losing, you keep telling me it's okay. At some point you'd say, is there a lawyer in the House who knows what they're talking about? Well, on these election law cases, it's the same pattern. We have wasted so much time and money going to court and losing at every single level. And at some point you say, there's got to be a better way than this. The better way is you have someone who actually knows the law, who advises the legislature proactively on the law, and also lays down a pretty hard line that if they insist on doing things that clearly violate the Constitution, They may get counsel. I wouldn't leave them unrepresented, but I would actually go to court and explain that what I think they're doing is unconstitutional.